Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha.
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 Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lankayate girim yad kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yad kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to Pariprashnena Sevaya, our ongoing discussions on the topic of Varnashrama Dharma. Today, before we begin, I would like to announce the departure of a very active member of our society during Srila Prabhupada's presence. He is actually originally from Germany. I just received the information this morning. Although living in America, I am referring to His Grace Hansaduta Prabhu. So he was a Srila Prabhupada disciple, very active in preaching, traveling in so many different countries all over the world. I met him but was not very close to him. He was quite senior. He was already a sannyasi and GBC member at that time. Very good in inspiring devotees to perform kirtan, very strong in book distribution, and so he has left today, so we can pray so that Krishna can always be protecting him. One or two small pieces of information. We have, as an ongoing effort in establishing or promoting the whole ideology of Varnashrama Dharma, we have, as a follow-up to the website that we have created quite recently, Varnashrama College Online. So today we were able to actually register a Facebook page which will be very closely connected and supporting the activities of the Varnashrama College Online. And the name of that Facebook is Varnashrama College Network. One of our objectives actually is not only to give courses, to give facility for devotees all over the world to take various courses. And just today I received one mail. I just read it very quickly just before coming for this program from Hawaii. Our Daiva Prabhu is, Krishna is making different arrangements. I believe he, from what I could understand very briefly in reading the letter, also beginning some online courses. So I hope to contact him to discuss more about this. So not only we want to have devotees give courses and take courses as students, but the whole objective behind this is to actually give proper training, give proper understanding, give the necessary skills for devotees, for families to actually relocate in what is meant to be the more natural and ideal surrounding or lifestyle, which is in a village atmosphere. So therefore, anyone who's interested to be involved in this activity, we very much are looking forward to interacting with devotees from different continents with a view of establishing various Varnashram colleges in our city temples as well as rural projects, and also, of course, to establish the whole reason Prabhupada wanted that we establish Varnashram colleges in our cities was to actually prepare, train, and educate devotees in the science of Varnashram Dharma. We are having ongoing activities here in preparation for the rainy season in South India, where we are, in the district of Udupi. The rainy season is very heavy. It will rain sometimes for non-stop, 2 weeks or more. Obviously don't see the sun because it just keeps on raining all the time and very, very heavy rains. So therefore, some of our devotees are busy making some cow cake from cow dung. These are called cow dung cakes, and they serve multi-purposes. Our Rameshwar Prabhu sometimes burns them to keep the mosquitoes away. They're very natural anti-repellent. You can just burn a few of them in the corner of your room, and then some nice smoke, nice smell is coming. It's like you're in a goshala. One thing which many people don't know about goshala, it was, not is now, but because cows are in the mode of goodness and because cow dung is pure. I didn't know before coming to India that cow dung is so pure that they have a tradition in India. When someone dies, they cover the body, they wash the body with cow dung. So we are making these cow dung cakes in preparation for the rainy season because it's not possible to dry cow dung at that time, and it is very useful to burn for cooking. Srila Prabhupada explains actually the best medium for cooking your meal is with cow dung. And this is how traditionally, even in many places in India, they will prepare this dry cow dung cake either in this way by making these round cakes, or they will take some jute stick and they will put around that stick and then put in the sun and then just put in the fire like this. So there are many like this secrets in our ancient Vedic culture, and these are very practical things that one can learn actually in our Varnashram college online also, because not only will it be theoretical at the end of many of the courses, maybe not all the courses, but especially the courses dealing with the science of economics, which means agriculture and cow protection. There will be a 1, 2, or 3 week session where devotees who are taking the course will spend such time in some community to apply the knowledge that they have learned. So we'll do our regular reading here from speaking about Varnasrama. And let's see. Yes. So we're reading text number, or chapter number 36, where Srila Prabhupada is engaged in a room conversation. This is in January of 1977 in Bhubaneswar, here in India. And the title of this chapter is Collapse of Artificial Banking. 50 years ago, Srila Prabhupada is predicting collapse of artificial banking. It's part of the collapse of modern cities as well that Srila Prabhupada spoke about and predicted. Paper currency is cheating. Prabhupada explains why it is. And then in this section, actually it's quite, just 4 pages. Farm self-sufficiency is insurance against banking collapse. Very important. If you actually want insurance against, because many people put money in the bank wanting to get interest. Srila Prabhupada never encouraged. Actually, he would explain that his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to he had a policy. Every money that was collected, it would be spent the same day so that the next day you have nothing. No keeping, no hoarding money. You see, money should be utilized in Krishna service. And Srila Prabhupada was very, very strong on this point, not to keep money in the bank, because it is an artificial system. And as the whole topic here is that one day these banks will collapse, and it is in so many different ways right now taking place. And then the last point Prabhupada is mentioning here, preach by presenting the example of ideal life. Preach by presenting the example of ideal life. So one devotee, Rameshwar Prabhu, is telling, there was one question I had, Prabhupada. You have written in the 3rd volume of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 1739, different instructions for the age of Kali, how there'll be compulsory marriage and so on and on. So on and so on. And you mentioned about the gold standard, that this is very bad, this artificial standard of monetary exchange. Then Prabhupada replies, oh yes, it is very bad. Then Rameshwar, in the future, this is something that we should try to correct. Then Prabhupada answers, yes, you should introduce coin, real money. Very sorry, real gold coins, no paper. Prabhupada, anyone has got money, it is fact. And what is this nonsense? Keeping some paper and thinking he has got money. How cheating it is going on from government side, and therefore artificial inflation. You can print so the price is increased. Because you haven't got to pay him real money, you print and pay him, and he will ask, give me this money, then I'll supply. All right, take, you print and pay. Rameshwar, it's definitely a means that the government has for controlling, because they can withdraw money, pull it back out of circulation by increasing the interest the banks give, or they can get more money. Then proper answer is yes, anything done artificially. Whatever they do, Prabhupada continues, when you receive money in the paper, it has no value. Bad money. It is bad money. It is not good money. Paper money is bad money. Real money is actually in coins. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada would say that in the Vedic culture, real money is land. Real money is cows. Real money is of value. Even the whole economy crashes, your land can still produce food. And that's the most important for one's basic survival, isn't it? And also in the Vedic culture, Srila Prabhupada explains that there are two ways that one ideally should invest money. You invest money by buying land, or you invest money by buying books. Books, because the knowledge in the books remains. Books remain if they're properly cared for, and they render immense benefit to society. The same with land. Yes. Bad money, yes. Then Prabhupada, at the end of the exchange, or close to the end, whatever it may be, we should be satisfied locally. We should be satisfied locally. By our food, by our cloth, by our milk. Localized living. We are all experiencing in this lockdown, localized living. But most people are not so fortunate to be surrounded by nice trees that are giving mangoes, that are giving so many different, guava. So be satisfied locally by your food, by your cloth, and by our milk. That's all. Let the whole world go to hell. If you want to save yourself, you do this. Here is an example. If you want artificial life, city life, and hellish life, you do. But we shall live like this. This is ideal life. And then we keep the ideal style of life. You learn and do it. I'm not encroaching upon your independence, but if you want to be happy, you follow. This is our process. Apani achari jive shikhaila bhakti. From Madhya 122. Through his personal behavior, he, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, instructed all living entities in the mode of devotional service. You be happy, very ideally, and people will learn. But this can be possible only on the basis of Krishna consciousness. If you make minus Krishna consciousness, this thing, it will never be possible. Then it will not be possible. All these schemes will be successful if there is Krishna consciousness. So it is not simply living in a village for the sake of living in a village, or farming for the sake of farming, or looking after cows for the sake of looking after cows. All of these activities, all of this lifestyle is for the purpose of cultivating our Krishna consciousness for the purpose of advancing in Krishna consciousness. So we are going to our questions. This is our 28th session. Yesterday, we're sorry, we had some ongoing activities here with our well because there were heavy rocks in the bottom. We had to blast actually. So we could not come online yesterday. We are now looking at question number 83. This is from Detroit, from Jayabal in Michigan. A simple question. Maharaj, is the Varnasrama college only for devotees or general public also? Good question. So the Varnasrama college will be for anyone who is agreeable to hear and to adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness. So it is not only for those who are ISKCON devotees, anyone who is agreeable to follow the basic, there is an application form for students, some basic guidelines are there as well. And so therefore, we want to give an opportunity to as many people as possible. There will be different kinds of courses. Some will be basic, mandatory courses in order to pursue or take up more advanced courses. So there's just like in any college or university, there is a system whereby one can take different types of courses, and these guidelines will be given. So it will be open for both the devotees and the general public. But I should mention here that when Srila Prabhupada spoke about Varnasrama college, the question was asked whether it was for women also. Prabhupada had mentioned no, Varnasrama college, because it is teaching about the Varnas, is for men. However, we will be having courses for Matajis on the subject matter relating to Matajis, that is the subject matter of Stri Dharma. And this will be taught. One couple, as we mentioned earlier, has agreed to oversee how this will be introduced, and we should be having more information on this in the days to come. Yes. Oh, okay. Jaibal had two questions. So here's the second question. So he's asking whether any summer camp can be organized for devotee sons for short-term courses at our SSKBK Varnasrama College for a few days or a week. Yes, absolutely. We have at different intervals, especially one of our devotees, Hari Kirtan Prabhu, has been giving short-term courses. Of course, now this lockdown is ongoing, and we really don't know what kind of guidelines will be given after this lockdown, whether it may be extended again or we'll find out very soon. On the 3rd of May, there should be some information on this. So yes, actually we encourage devotees who have some land to organize such type of short-term courses it is not only restricted actually to villages. Many of our parents in big cities like Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad also organize on weekends, or it can be during summer holidays. I know in Pune some of our families were doing this, giving an opportunity for young boys to experience what was traditionally being taught. And even in Pune, actually, our devotees had rented some apartment, and some of the devotee parents were overseeing this program. And on the weekend, they would have the boys stay overnight so that they can rise early in the morning and learn and experience Mangalarti, for example. So these things can be taken up at different places. It is not very difficult. Simply it requires at least one person or a few persons, few devotees who understand the need and the importance of giving this kind of exposure, this kind of training to our young students so that they can learn from as early age as possible some of these concepts and principles and lifestyle that are there actually in our Vedic culture. We are very much hoping here at SSKBK, Sayadri Sri Krishna Balaram Kshetra, to provide such kind of short-term and long-term courses for actually not only young boys, but also for older boys and young men as well. We will go on to our next question. And okay, this is a series of two questions also. This is from Mayapur. Oh, I'm sorry. No, from Hyderabad. Devotees have similar names or identical names. So this is from Induleka Mataji from Hyderabad. Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. People living in cities are thinking that their devotional life is fine and are finding it tough to come out of their comfort zones. Simply chanting, deity worship, preaching Krishna consciousness, and not connecting to land and cows. How far the consciousness can become completely Krishna conscious? So the question is, can someone who's living in the city become Krishna conscious without becoming connected with cows and with land? Anyone can become Krishna conscious anywhere. It is a question of developing the proper mentality. It is a question of endeavoring wherever we are to fulfill the mission of our previous acharyas, and especially as presented by our founder acharya, Srila Prabhupada. At the same time, one who is in the city, one should look, one should analyze, one should evaluate one's motivation. What is my motivation for being in the city? But we explained quite some time back that actually there are two places where people and devotees also can or should be. One is in the city, urban life, or one is in the village, country life, agrarian life. So the idea is that urban life or city life should be primarily, devotees should be in the cities primarily for preaching. So therefore, cities should be our preaching basis. If we are engaged in preaching in the city, and if our focus is very much on preaching, and that is our main purpose and motivation for being in the city, then we should be in the city, we should be preaching, and definitely we will be advancing in Krishna consciousness. But if our motivation is different, if we are in the city because we can make more money, if we are in the city not engaged in preaching activities, if we are in the city because we have become accustomed and attached and conditioned by all of the facilities that urban life gives, then that is not a good motivation. And by not being engaged in the preaching mission of our founder Acharya, then advancement in Krishna consciousness will not be there, or will be very minimal. We need to understand that the vast majority of people and the vast majority of devotees as well should not be in the city, should be living a more simplified, natural lifestyle, which is in the country. We have to get this to our head, and it's taking a long time, that the natural, ideal, prescribed, recommended, authorized by whom? By Krishna. Demonstrated by whom? By Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead descended in this material world to show us by His personal example how we should be living. Prabhupada makes this point again and again and again. And there's so many wonderful explanations to underline how this simplified way of living, where we don't become overly preoccupied with material well-being or material advancement and get into all kinds of unhealthy competition with our neighbors, and where we develop all kinds of material desires and attachments. It is not at all conducive for spiritual life. It is not at all conducive for advancing the mission of the Lord. We need to understand that this whole, Prabhupada would call it Western adventure, this whole modern adventure is a major deviation, taking people away from their real identity, from their real purpose of life. So therefore, unless we read on a regular basis these literatures that explain very nicely, very simply, very clearly, unless we hear on a regular basis from devotees or from Srila Prabhupada's lectures, we will not get this point unless we are also properly practicing, applying the principles of Krishna consciousness. We will not understand this. And therefore we will remain stuck in, as you mentioned here, and it's a fact, majority of people prefer, it's quite psychological, people prefer remaining in what is called their comfort zone. They have their basic needs and necessities are cared for, and they are so-called comfortable. That's what it's called, comfort zone. But actually at any moment, that so-called comfort is not really comfort, because it's not really addressing the inner needs of the soul. But at any moment, this so-called comfort can be disturbed, can become jeopardized, as we have seen in the last few months with this pandemic. So therefore, the main criteria is what is our intention, what is our motivation. If our motivation is to please Guru and Krishna, then all well and good. If our activities are authorized, sanctioned by higher authorities, well and good. That's the meaning of a devotee, of a disciple. A disciple means someone who is following, accepting, practicing, discipline. Disciple, discipline. And the foremost discipline is to actually please Guru and Krishna, to perform activities that are authorized in the Shastra and that are especially pleasing to Guru and Krishna. Haritoshanam, samsiddhi, haritoshanam. All activities in life should be performed for the purpose of pleasing Hari, of pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Same thing is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajna should be performed for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna. This basic ideology is absent in the lives of the vast majority of people, and it may also be absent in the lives of a number of devotees. One has to analyze and one has to be honest with oneself. Are my activities authorized? Are they favoring the preaching mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Are they pleasing to Guru and Krishna? Yes. So the second question from Induleka Mataji is as follows. This is question number 86. It's a little bit long. So here we go. There's a quotation here from the one purport from Srila Prabhupada, Canto number 1, chapter 14, text 34. Purport: the Lord is the protector of cows and the Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord. Just as the prisoners in the jails are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of a severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of the Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture, the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as He is. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahminical culture and to maintain it, cow protection is essential. So questions in this context. Srila Prabhupada mentioned many times to consume milk from protected cows, thus protecting cows going to slaughterhouses, maintaining them in houses or goshalas, separating cow and its calf, tying them, not allowing them to graze, and making cows and calves to starve, called cow protection. If we are consuming such milk gotten from cows which are separated from its calf, using the same milk in worship of lordships and his service, and devotees who consume, how one can prosper in the Vedic culture? This question, of course, has come up and does come up again and again. Many of our devotees are simply not properly educated as to what should be the standard. Lord Krishna is described as the highest personality, the purest. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram, Uttam. Pavitram idam uttamam. And therefore he deserves the best. He deserves what is the purest. So therefore, that is one of the reasons last year the GBC members passed this resolution that within the next 2 years, for every temple to offer to the deities, one should only offer milk from protected cows. And we must understand the meaning of protected cows. As you mentioned here, we must know what is happening to the calf. We must know actually to resolve all of these issues. To resolve these issues properly, the ideal is that, of course, everyone should have their own cow. This was and is meant to be the Vedic standard. And it was even not so long ago here in India. The families would have not only 1 or 2 cows, but many cows. When that is not possible, as we find ourselves in present day situation, second best is actually to get milk from devotees who are having cows. That is why Srila Prabhupada wanted that we have our own Goshala, our own farm communities where devotees are living, are producing food, are keeping cows, and if every temple, that was Srila Prabhupada's program, that within every temple or within a 50-kilometer radius of a temple, of a city temple, there should be a farm community, and that there should be a connection between the devotees living on the farm and those living in the city. So therefore, it is, although resolutions can be passed, have been passed, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, by the authorities within ISKCON society, the responsibility to apply these resolutions and to see that things are in proper order lies within each and every individual. And that begins, of course, with the local temple president or temple authorities. In many places there may not be a temple president, there may be a board of directors. Regardless of what it is, those who are responsible for the temple, they must be very cautious to see that milk is actually coming from proper sources. Actually, every temple, or we could say for every deity in every temple, every deity should have their own cows. The actual standard, just like I remember going to Remuna. Remuna is in Balasore district on the way to Jagannath Puri. As we leave Midnapur, which is the last state in Bengal before entering Balasore, Orissa. So we come to this junction, train station, Rimuna, and there one can get this Kirchor, or rather this Kir. The deities there are called Kirchor Gopinath. Lord Krishna stole the Kir for his devotee, Madhavendra Puri. So, at least the last time I visited, just beside the temple, they have nice goshala for the cows. This was standard. Every temple would have many acres of land, and the local villagers, they would grow paddy or rice, and that would be supplied to the temple for the service of the Lord for the whole year. There would be no anxiety to provide bhoga, isn't it, to the deities. The land was there, the cows were there, milk was there, produce was there. So this was the standard, and we gradually need to reintroduce the standard. Now we have gone to such an extreme, dangerous situation, just like we saw recently how many workers in Mumbai especially, and I'm sure in other cities, big cities, Prabhupada explains that actually sometimes village people would come to the city, but only for a short time, just to get a few paisa for some renovation of their building, something like that. But nowadays, so many people are totally dependent of having this job in the city, and because so many people have left the village, there is less care or no care being given to cows. The number of cows has decreased tremendously, and there's no proper cultivation of the land. And now, with hundreds of thousands of people who recently went back to their village is not in a position to properly supply them because of bad habits in agriculture as well. Now, I just read recently how from the central government here in India, there is recommendation by the Honorable Narendra Modi to the farmers with whom we had a recent discussion. He requested them to reduce this chemical fertilizers by 50%. Actually, they should be banned. They should actually be banned because it is destroying. It is destroying the soil. It is destroying the ability to produce wholesome food, and therefore it is causing all kinds of disease or illness. So it is very bad for health as well. So therefore, yes, it is the duty and responsibility of every leader. One should only be recognized as a leader if one can give this balance, can teach our own devotees and can teach people in general about the absolute necessity to balance our spiritual duties and responsibilities along with our material duties and responsibilities. This is an integral part of our philosophy. We've mentioned this on a number of occasions. It means knowing about, understanding what is our spiritual swadharma, which is essentially bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. And also knowing and understanding what is our material swadharma, which is actually also devotional service to Krishna, but by performing material activities, but not for the purpose of just sense gratification. So actually in this way, and that's why our acharyas have very wisely chosen the term Daiva Varnashram. We're not simply advocating ordinary, what we call ordinary Varnashram, devoid of bhakti or devoid of Krishna consciousness. Our acharyas, our Vaishnava acharyas are advocating this divine culture of Daiva Varnasrama. And the more we understand about this, we will become very clear as to what we can offer to the Lord and what we cannot offer. We should only be offering food that is actually grown by devotees. We're a far cry from being able to do that. We should only be offering milk that is actually coming from devotee cows. We're a long way from that situation as well. Devotee cows means cows being cared for with love and devotion by devotees, you see. Food which is produced on our land by the hands of devotees. This is possible and this is desirable, this is needed. This is the Vedic standard of ideal economy. This is the Vedic standard of what is meant to be the ideal, practical, and simplified occupation for the vast majority of our grihastas, of our householders. So these were very good questions. We hope we've been able to clarify them somewhat. And this is why the courses we will be presenting on the Varnasrama College online is to give that opportunity for devotees to really more deeply, more clearly understand what is actually meant by Varnasrama and how we as individual devotees have a place and a role, a very important role to play by showing by example so that others in general society can follow. So just to wind up our session today, thank you very much for continuing to send questions, and everyone should continue also to follow the various directives that are there. The lockdown is ongoing here in India, in other countries. In every country, the situation will vary, but here in India, especially devotees, till the 3rd of May, should keep their good distance from one another and should be cautious in how they deal in different situations. So we will close our session here today. Please do visit. Now we have both the website, for Varnashrama College online, which is www.varnashramacollege.com. Varnashrama College in one word. And for this Facebook page that we created just today, the name, you can just Google that, is Varnashram College Network. That is Varnashram College Network. We invite devotees who would like to give courses. Now we have close to 20 devotees from different countries who have already registered online. And as we also mentioned, on the 15th of May, we will have our official inauguration of Varnashram College Online. We will telecast, we'll have a live coverage from the Nandi Sanctuary in Sridham, Mayapur, which is overseen actually by Dayal Mukunda Prabhu and his team. We will be covering that. He was mentioning just a few days ago, he covered one event whereby he also, it was a live presentation. He invited different people to attend. He thought maybe 100 or 200 might come. Over 3,000 people actually participated. So we're very much looking forward to, we also have this basic information on Telegram. We want to again remind devotees who are members of our Global Varnashram Mission. This is a group we have on WhatsApp. We are gradually migrating. We have some over 70 devotees. More need to migrate. And to do that, you have to download actually this program. So once again, thank you all very much. And we will end today by reciting together the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Samasta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Hare Hare Bol. His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj ki Jai.